This is your daily horoscope for Friday, February 13th, 2026. All times are Pacific Standard Time. The action starts out around 10 a.m. when the moon in Capricorn forms a sextile with Mercury in Pisces. Now, this is going to be a moment where you are feeling understood, or maybe there is progress regarding some sort of writing project, communication that needed to happen. Maybe there is a healing conversation. You receive words of affirmation that boost your self-esteem in some way or make you feel reassured that you're on the right path. This is a great time for building community, connection, for friendship, for socializing, and for connecting with your mind. So absorbing new information, reading books, expanding your mind, absorbing knowledge. The energy is quite helpful and productive, and it just might help you feel like things are moving along. Now, around 4 p.m., Saturn enters Aries. And this is a cosmic BFD because Saturn has been in the sign of Pisces since March of 2023. So that means we are wrapping up a major storyline that began back in March of 2023 in the Pisces section of your birth chart. Typically, the beginning of a Saturn transit is a little bit more challenging and difficult, but oftentimes by the end, there is some sort of gift or reward for all of the effort and commitment and maturity and responsibility that you've poured into that area of your birth chart. So this might feel like a double-edged sword today. Perhaps there is some sort of gift or a deeper sense of being proud of yourself in some way for anything that you have kind of become more proficient in regarding the Pisces section of your birth chart. And at the same time, there might be some sort of major event unfolding in the Aries section of your birth chart, where Saturn is now going to be moving through for the next 2.5 years or so. Now, we had a preview of Saturn in Aries last year from May 24th through September 1st. So if you can think back to that time period, that was a preview of the themes and topics that you'll be dealing with when Saturn moves through this part of your chart. Now, Saturn in Aries is said to be in fall in traditional astrology, and that means that we see a more difficult expression of Saturn. So if Saturn is authority, if Saturn is boundaries and borders and people who are on the margins, and all of that is the case because Saturn is the last visible planet that we're able to see with our eyes. And so it has gained this association with borders and boundaries and what is at the margins because we cannot see beyond it. So that's why some of those themes and topics are associated with Saturn. Now, when Saturn is in Aries, Aries is the militant. Aries is ruled by Mars, which is the god of war. Aries is very quick energy, and Saturn is all about slowing down and taking our time. Saturn is the lord of time. So we have these competing energies that are completely different. And it can be a time where we are experiencing consequences, which is a very Saturn thing, for quick decisions that we're making, for some of our selfish impulses, and we can see a rise in authoritarianism. But you don't need an astrologer to tell you that. Look around us. And we are seeing examples of these leaders, authority, Saturn, which are very Aries and Martian and destructive and violent and harmful. However, this can also be a time where we push back against those leaders, where the individual kind of recognizes that it's time to deconstruct the focus on the individual self and remember that we are part of a collective whole. I think ultimately that is one of the most beautiful expressions that we can channel and funnel as Saturn and Neptune both move through the sign of Aries, is the dissolving of the individual ego and focus that is pushed down our throats due to colonialism, white supremacy, and capitalism, and to remember that we are all interconnected and that we're in this together and we need one another. So Saturn in Aries is going to be a longer transit. You're definitely going to feel like an exclamation point when Saturn ingresses into Aries. You're going to start to notice personal and collective themes that are unfolding, and they will tie back to last May. So just keep that in mind. And remember, it's time to awaken your inner revolutionary, and we're all going to have different roles. So if you've been reflecting on the different ways in which you can show up and contribute to building and creating the world in which we all deserve, this is now your moment to act if you haven't already. Okay, around 7:30 p.m., the moon in Capricorn will form an opposition with Jupiter in Cancer. And this is usually a moment for me personally where I'm exhausted, where I've been running around, I take on too much. I'm like, oh no, I can do that. I'm overcommitting. And by the end of the day, I'm like just a mummy in bed. I'm like, please don't disturb, do not disturb, leave me alone. Just beat up. Okay. So this can be a moment where you also have big emotional reactions. So maybe you're feeling emotionally depleted, or you're really excited, or there is a moment of progress regarding a personal goal, or you're standing up for what you believe in, right? These are all Jupiter themes. And the moon is opposite Jupiter. So it really creates this kind of like full moon energy for topics regarding Jupiter and in the Cancer Capricorn sections of our birth chart. So just know that this can be a moment of overdoing it because Jupiter amplifies any planet that it touches, but it can also be a moment to inspire, to feel hopeful, and to feel grateful as well.